Okay, so hello everybody and welcome to the Hustings 2013. We have got our candidates here ready and raring to go for the positions of President, Vice President and Treasurer, and we will start with the first candidate for President, which is Isabella Bustamante.
Very pumped to be here. I am feeling very JFK. Now, I want you to know, you can always refer to the manifesto to get a full gist of my beliefs, my strategies for next fall, but I want this to be a dialogue. I'll just intimately touch on a few ideas for the sake of time. Now, the Courtauld is an institution that promotes exclusivity, and to an extent, I support that. I mean, I'm wearing a tutu. I like the prim and proper feel of this place. But I believe that this policy of isolation in terms of social interaction is a bit unnecessary. Now, the first requirement for student union president, according to the Constitution, is that as the premier representative of the union, we should seek to involve as many students as possible, which means all of you guys. But I think that it's hard to get involved when you feel that events are being catered to certain people. You know, you feel like they're just looking for a certain kind of group. Now, I've had deep thoughts. I have really thought of this. I have had profound conversations with groups of different people, and I've sat under the lotus tree, like Buddha. I've thought about balls. I've really thought about the ball with myself, because balls are a big deal here. And why shouldn't it be? Because clearly the fancy dress is nice. I like to be fancy dressed. It's fabulous, as many of you have seen. I wore a nice red ball gown to the past winter ball, but I think we need to diversify this. I think we need to have themes. You guys ever heard of some themes before? Are you a fan of themes, maybe? Well, I helped organize parties for over 2,000 university students in New York City at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And we have kids for the cream of the crop, I'm talking like Columbia Ivy League, to the ghetto, to community colleges from the hood, coming to this because we advertise an interpretive aesthetic atmosphere. So we would have parties that would go from like heroin chic 90s looks to disco, to Dickens. We did The Great Gatsby one year. We did Orientalism. We can do comic books. I'm really open for anything. And I think that this would increase attendance, and because we would have more attendance, it would in the long run cost less, and then we could have more of these large social events. However, these can only be real parties if we get a real DJ. Because let's face it, people's iTunes list, they're a little sketch. We got to get some people with turntables. We got to get some passion in there. I don't mind if it's students, but you know, let's get a real setup, because safe music equals safe dancing, and that's just that. I want you guys to be grouping. I really do. Another concern is that we have a lack of testosterone here. And I think even our small male population, like you and you and you, could use some more bros, right? Don't you feel like you could use a bit more bros? It's not even just about the ladies, it's about the bros. Now, as I said in my manifesto, widening our social network with students nearby, like Kings and LSE, could not only ignite new relationships, but get us involved with students from a wider range of fields. And this will help future Courtauld students, like the new BAs that we're going to have, get allies in London outside our institution. And also there would be maybe less anxiety for potential networking for job connections. Now lastly, I'm going to be really straightforward, and I mean this. As a future presidential candidate, what I deeply desire is to give you what you want. It's that simple. And the best way for me to give you what you want is for you to tell me. Open communication is key to any relationship, and the best way for me to liaise between students and faculty is to secure your trust. I'm confident, but I want you to be confident in me. And in order to gain your confidence, you should know that I am not afraid of authority. Remember, although I'd be an employee of the Courtauld, I'm working for you. So in other words, I have your backs. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Isabella. And we will move on to the next candidate now, Miss Roisin O'Connor.
Please excuse my voice if it does break at any moment. I've had a severe bout of asthma, but I'm okay now, relatively. And I'd firstly like to introduce myself for those who may not know me. I'm Roisin O'Connor, a current third-year student who is running for the position of SU President. In the manifesto I produced that was published today, I allude to several promises and actions that during my presidency I would like to pursue, which during this hustings I can describe to you now in greater detail. Firstly, I would like to discuss the issue of housing and the laissez-faire attitude held towards assistance for students to locate satisfactory housing. When attempting to find housing after halls of residence, or as postgraduates moving to London seeking private lets, there is no support other than that of peers. No one ever asks, do you have safe and secure housing? London has one of the most competitive housing markets in the world, and at present the Institute is leaving its students exposed to potentially devastating housing crisis by not offering guidance. As President, I would like to implicate an entire network for students, working with the next elected welfare officer, creating workshops in the spring-summer term that provide comprehensive advice that will empower and not leave student tenants vulnerable. Another initiative I would like to pursue is the concept of a mentoring programme. As current welfare officer, I've been contributing to the initial development for a student-led mentoring scheme. This would comprise of a team of students who would communicate effectively to less senior students the challenges that lie ahead and assist them in academic matters. The inter-year transitions can seem daunting, and wisdom of the previous year's students to engage with material should be seen as invaluable. These roles given to selected volunteers and held by BA2s and 3s would carry a level of prestige relative to the esteemed part they would play in the success of students' academic work. This programme extends to all academic levels at the Courtauld and could feature information evenings on postgraduate development from MA to PhD. My third policy proposal is the establishment of greater pastoral care for students with disabilities. The accessibility of the Courtauld to students with disabilities is a major concern of mine. Students with special learning needs are at present working their way through a minefield of paperwork and assessment applications, struggling to get the right help through the DSA and often not claiming at all. Unlike other universities, the Courtauld cannot afford to employ a member of staff to specifically help students with dyslexia and dyspraxia apply for what they need to get through the course. This means that each year there are several students unnecessarily rendered underdogs, not receiving the help the government provides. These courses at the Institute are largely based on strong skills of visual analysis, meaning that here there are greater numbers of students than average with special learning differences, to whom I make a promise to look after and steward through the DSA maze. I would like now to discuss the London Libraries concept I mentioned in my manifesto. And in the previous years, in the induction weeks of previous years, the Courtauld has only illustrated the in-house services and highlighted the variety of staff that work for the Courtauld. Never has there been an opportunity for students to meet and ask questions to representatives from other leading institutions that students during their courses will inevitably use. I want to establish stronger ties between the Courtauld and institutions like the National Art Library, the British Library, the REBA, University of London College Libraries like Senate House, SOAS and UCL. Along with introductions to libraries, I intend to compile a London Libraries Guide that includes information on what is needed to register at the different libraries and notes on the service. This initiative will immediately expose students to the other facilities, bringing these outstanding resources to students so that when settling into life in a new city and in a new environment, they can trust the SU to provide the head start they need to get the best results. The area of academic procedures is a complex one and involves a great level of tact and perseverance in order to successfully initiate change that will benefit students. There are several grey areas in the information given to students in terms of academic procedures. Third-year dissertations are a weighty 50% of the overall grade. Do we really want students second-guessing how and when to go about establishing connections with supervisors? It appears no one student has the same experience. But shouldn't there be some level of consistency to ensure fairness? There are other systematic issues with the protocol of assessed work, but wait, the immortal line, you will find it in the student handbook, is a ringing affirmative. But ask yourself, when has there been a question and answer meeting for students to ask a member of staff who fully knows the answers about assessed work? I asked for only an hour for the course leaders and some staff representatives and administrators to form a panel so that students have the best chance of ascertaining what is expected, what is allowed, and what is necessary to secure the best grades that they can. Lastly, over the past 3 years, since joining the Courtauld, I've been fortunate to attend a selection of impressive events, noting what works and what students enjoy. £1 parties are one of the Courtauld rites of passage, and I promise 2 to 3 a term, being mindful of deadlines, communicating with year reps at the SU meetings, Having never experienced the Freshers' Week until this academic year, I now value its importance. Having observed Katie on several occasions, I understand completely the fundamental importance of freshers and how rewarding it is to craft innovative events that kickstart the year. This academic year, I saw how Katie was organising the Courtauld Freshers' Week, and from this high point, I don't want to plateau, but rather sustain and improve upon the already high standards. Katie also created a complete calendar of events from scratch, and I want to integrate more events such as post-exam parties, which we have never had before. This SU has the ability to use small but interesting venues. We want events that make students from other universities wish they went to a small specialist college. The budget for events is of great importance to me, and through careful negotiation and decision making, we have managed to secure an increase in the budget next year, meaning more funding for societies that directly benefit Courtauld students. This funding is crucial so that we can utilise our central location in one of the most exciting and vibrant cities in the world, with events that will be tailored to students' needs and interests, with a wide variety of nights. To close, I urge you to vote for the candidate with previous SU experience that prioritises your interests both in terms of work and play. I won't rest on my laurels or use my position as a platform for internships. I will make this academic year as exciting as I can whilst being attentive to both the needs of students' academic work and welfare. That is to say, if I am successful in becoming your representative in the Institute, I promise integral to my position will be a sincere care for student experience. Despite anything that may happen, I want you to be able to depend on my unwavering presence and transparency, my diplomacy as your ambassador, and commitment to being your friend and ally. Thank you.
So now both of the candidates for the presidency role have spoken. I'd like to invite them to both come up and to open the floor to any questions that you might have. Any questions, anybody? Okay, well, it's up to you to decide at home then. Thank you very much for watching both of the presidents give their speech. We'll have another round of applause for them both, and we'll move on to the vice presidency. Okay, so up for vice president, we will go on to our first candidate, Miss Giovanna Quilora.
Those who don't know me, I'm a BA1 student here at the Courtauld. I'm running for the Vice President role because I've seen the success of the SU this year, and there's no denying that the achievements have been incredible, especially in uniting all the students through events, societies and the student newspaper. I'd love to become a part of the team to support the President. I don't have policies, I don't have beliefs of what I want to do. My only aim is to make sure that all the voices of the students are heard in the Institute and that student support can be implemented through this. I would work my hardest with the rest of the team to create events that are quirky and reflect the nature of the Institute. Also, I believe it's important that alternative events are organised through societies, so therefore giving more support to these events. I've had past experience in representing students before. During sixth form I was a senior prefect, and part of this role meant that I was the head of peer mentoring and student support. And through this, many students had their roles, had all their views spoken for. I believe that this is important here in the Institute because there are many positive aspects, however there can be times where you can feel there is no one to turn to, and this is how the SU is there for the Institute. So please vote for me.
Thank you very much, Giovanna, and we will move on on to the second candidate, Greg Wilkinson.
As I've said in my manifesto, I believe that Courtauld has the potential to deliver an experience far more invigorating, inspiring than any other given by university. There is so much to build on, so much that we could achieve, and that is not to play down the phenomenal Freshers' Week and events which I think I embarrassingly mention at any opportunity. In this past year, it feels from what the other years have mentioned, at the risk of turning us into the Katie Roberts fan club meeting, the Courtauld has gained momentum and it will carry through to the next year, and that's a platform which we can gain further success. My aims for the next year will be the promotion of integration between the years and the furthering of Courtauld's reputation amongst the other universities and in fact around the whole country. I want it to be far less frequent occurrence that when someone asks where you're studying, you're met with complete ignorance of the existence of our university. I want people to know where we study. I want them to be not only aware of us, but jealous of us, jealous of the experience, jealous of our opportunities, jealous of our extraordinary range of students and activities. I want people to see us next year, hopefully on University Challenge, and say, I wish I'd gone there instead of this hellhole in which I currently reside. I want them to choose us over Oxford and Cambridge or any other university. Towards this, I believe that we should be hosting and attending more intercollegiate events, not just with the large universities, King's is an obvious choice, but the other small ones as well, ones which we can form strong bonds that will last even after we've left. To further this, creation in the cafe of a student-run bar employing members of the Courtauld would be ideal, a venue from which we can host events and make profits that be fed back into the university, allowing us to, for example, upgrade the speaker system, buy a TV, buy sports equipment, hire pitchers to further the sports society. This will not only further strengthen our relationship with other universities, it would unify us within ourselves. We need somewhere to mingle, somewhere to go where you know there are going to be students from Courtauld, where you'll meet people from other years you've never even seen before, let alone talk to. I don't want to play down the role in the cafe and the position of our day-to-day routines is a very important part of our time here, but it needs to be extended through to the evening, especially for us that find it hard to get up before midday. I believe I'm suited to this role through experience and personality. Through various roles I've held in the past, and more recently in the holding of the BA1 representative job, I've learnt about the leadership of student diplomacy, as it were, in difficult situations against mind-numbingly aggressive and belligerent people. And previous experience isn't to be taken into account in the judging in this position, and I apologise if I'm too bellicose, and I've been warned in past speeches that I've become too Churchillian. But I think that I can make Courtauld better, whether I'm elected to the position of Vice President or not.
Thank you very much, Greg, and so thank you to Giovanna and Greg. Can I invite you to both come up, and please could somebody come up with a question for them? That would be great. But yeah, we'll open the floor to questions now. So, somebody, anybody? Jane.
How do you intend to create links with the other London universities? For instance, I know that things are already happening on the ground level with other student union societies, like the Fellow Society, I know are already collaborating a lot with LSE and King's, and like what you would do as a vice president necessarily, like foster those would be from that level, from a wider.
Well, I mean, whole year trips to their bar, they come to our new bar, hopefully. And I've been talking to the people at the Royal Academy of Music, the students in our bar year, and they seem really excited to meet people from Courtauld because they don't usually get a chance to mingle. I mean, they're so far away, we never go to the same pubs, we never go to the same clubs, that you rarely ever meet people from there. And I reckon that if we actually just go to university and ask them, do you want to do, say, a BA 2-year swap? I know it sounds boarding schoolish, but you know, you can swap years. You can, like, they come to us, we go to them. And it's a really good chance to make friendships among people who you wouldn't otherwise have a chance to meet.
Yeah. Any other questions? Joanna?
Yeah. If you could have a new event on the calendar this year, what would you do? What do you want to
In terms of alternative events, I'd like to see more events organised during daytime as well as evening events, such as sort of relaxed sort of film events maybe. I know there's more film society, but maybe bringing more of these events so more commuters can come, like myself, and not have to worry about getting back too late. Just so as well we can integrate people from outside the uni but also within.
My question's for Greg about the bar. I really like this idea. So are we converting the cafe into a bar style?
It doesn't even need converting, really. It just needs...
Yeah, just alcohol,
yeah.
right? Yeah, no, it's a good idea. And to have students run it so we can give people jobs.
Any further questions, anybody?
Katie, will we reopen it to the president? Will that be okay? Or is that over now?
Yeah, then we can reopen it to the president. So, are there any further questions? Are there any further questions for vice presidents' roles? Okay. Well, thank you very much to both of you. And I will invite both the president-electees to just come up again for some questions. Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, first Machine and then Ella, like, how you see like developing a pastoral care at the university and how you use your office hours while you're here.
So, introducing office hours to the presidency, I believe it happened more so this year than the previous year. And having a presence in the Courtauld is an important feature of the presidency. So, spending lunchtimes in the cafe, enjoying the students' company, but also having that established time during certain hours of the day where, without fail, students can reach you. I've also thought of schemes of making sure people know where the Student Union President office is by taking a tour of the Courtauld down the little alley and around the corner using the swipe card to get into the office, because often I think students don't even know where it is. But implementing office hours is a major strategy in student communication and effective student communication. And I 100% back office hours, but also having a flexibility of office hours and making people aware of those so that it doesn't clash with times of lectures for students. Because we all know what student services is like, not to take up the negative route, but between like 10 and 10:32 you have to be there to give in your essay or you're not going to get it in at all. And giving a breadth of hours. And to be honest, I can't think of anything better to do with my time. Like I am somebody who does spend a lot of time at the Courtauld. I run a literature society and I'm a member of the SU. I spend a lot of my time here and it's a pleasure to be able to be available to students.
Yeah, going off what she's saying, I think being visible is probably the most important thing. And Katie is so visible. I love anytime I walk around, I see her pretty face and I just want to talk to her. And I think just having that sort of relaxed, open dialogue with students, and if they see me, they can be like, oh, I want to come up to Bell, but completely having office hours. Actually, in the US, it's a requirement for all of our professors to have blocked office hours, so this would not be something new to me to designate 3 hours of my day to have time, or 1 hour, and also to take people off of campus, because sometimes they don't really feel comfortable having people see them walk into your office, and they feel a bit stigmatized about maybe coming to you with something serious. And we don't have a guidance counselor type role here. We don't have a school like that person that's kind of young and maybe you feel comfortable talking about some things that you could be facing at this age. So I'd be really open to people saying, you know, can we go get a coffee, not like down the street, maybe 5 or 6 blocks away, have a little bit of talk time. So yeah, for sure, office hours, and also speaking off campus during those office hours. So office hours within the office and outside of it, for sure.
Right. Yes?
Again, for those, maybe I'm going to go first this time, about societies. I know that one of the hardest jobs of the president is to keep up societies because they're run by students who don't have that much time. And I know Katie put in a lot of time and effort at the beginning of the year, certainly trying to kind of keep that momentum going. So that in place and keep societies happening.
Yeah, I agree with you about it's hard as a student to want to be committed to things because you're here and you're free and you're away from your parents and you just kind of want to run around. And I actually took year the sports society over from Katie Fallon because she was, she had a lot of things coming up. She had an internship and I just tried to sustain it for a bit. So I think we should kind of get together maybe during like the freshers week or the implementing weeks when everybody comes, even in Dutchie House in the dorms, kind of have a huge meeting in Kenneth Clark and just be like, we really want you guys to come up with ideas and be innovative and present what you want. It could be new societies, it can be unconventional, it could be card playing. As long as you have the enthusiasm for it, we shouldn't kind of discriminate between traditional things like let's just have sports. Let's just have films, but, let people be creative and have a freer sort of forum open to people.
Well, this year saw the first Heads of Societies position open, which sort of kept in orbit the societies that are available to students at the Courtauld, and the Courtauld thrives because of those extracurricular activities that maybe, I don't know, as a society present, like 6 to 7 people may attend, but keeping them going is so important, keeping the momentum, making sure students have the courage to pursue these great societies that are here, like the Sports Society, but also like Rowena Cameron. She introduced the Life Drawing Society, which was booked out in weeks in advance, supporting those societies with funding. It's a major issue, funding, so that students who want to set up these and use these societies as a base for students to meet, to chat from all the different year groups, keeping the funding there so that they can expand on really great ideas. Even something so simple as buying cushions for life drawing or yoga mats, like making sure that there are expenses. But Joanna Thomas's role as Heads of Society, she did an invaluable thing, which was bringing it together. And as you said, it's like starting at the beginning of the year with a real firm, like an affirmation that it is crucial to Courtauld life. We can't often find the time to go wandering into the other London locations to find these things, having it on your doorstep. Going to Film Society, I know they had some difficulties with licensing and copyright issues this year, but to pursue that, supporting them, also it does fall into things like the newspaper, the Courtauldian, like not a society, but a similar thing which needs it's integral to Courtauld life. Just needs all the support you can possibly give.
Any further questions? Okay, well thank you very much to both of our candidates once again. And we'll be moving on to the final position, which is for Treasurer, and this is Yayan Willocks.
Okay, so as I'm going for Treasurer, I probably won't talk that much about actual plans for next year as such, but more maybe our capacity to make them happen. So I was really pleased this year that we managed to increase our budget by 40% at the beginning by talking to the finance department of the Courtauld and people that are in charge of that. And as part of that agreement, they kind of said that they'd like to see an increase ongoing because I don't think many people know that since the student union has been founded, the budget's never gone up, and not even with inflation. So we're really, when it was founded, we were already quite behind in terms of our funding per student. So we really need to see it keep going up, and that's something that we're talking with them this week about. This is the week that budgets for all departments of the Courtauld get decided, and we've managed for the first time to make sure that we have our own slot in the finance committee to make sure that we are able to put forward our case, budget increases, and they seem to be going quite well. So yeah, we've put forward quite a strong case to them. We're having a meeting next week, and it would be really nice for me, after working to get that extra money in, to make sure that it's actually spent really well. So.
Great. you'd like to just come back. Just to open the floor to any questions you might have for Yayan.
When you say that you like the money to be spent really well, I guess that's very big.
Yeah.
How do you decide where to allocate the money and by what protocol?
Well, I think in the past, it's more about making sure things are efficient. So in the past, people made decisions that they want to run an event, or they want a society to be run, or they want to give a certain amount of money to something. But the way it's been spent has been really inefficient. So things like, you know, if you're having an event, some people will just give a huge amount of money towards a venue, when actually if you negotiate quite hard, you can take a huge amount of that money away and still remain with the same kind of product. So there's that kind of thing. I make sure people, you know, they're buying supplies and that kind of thing, all the way from wine to sports supplies and that stuff, that you're doing it as cheaply as possible, whilst not obviously compromising what you're getting out of it. So I guess that's probably what I meant most. Yeah.
This will be your second term potentially. What do you feel are the key skills that you can bring to your next term of office?
Well, I think anything to do with money in somewhere like at the Courtauld is a bit tricky, because obviously we all do art history and we're not mathematicians. But also I did maths at A-level, and I've been able to kind of figure things out this year, and being able to talk with finance people in the finance department has been really useful. So there's that. But also I think, because money is so scarce at the institutes, being able to negotiate and communicate really well with people and make relationships with different members of staff and students is actually really, really important if you're ever going to get anywhere and get anything off the ground. So that, I guess.
Brilliant. Any further questions? In that case, I'd like to say thank you very much to Yayan once again. And thank you very much to all of you who are watching at home. Please note that the elections open tomorrow, and they will run from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day and close on Friday the 19th at 4 p.m. So make sure that you either come in to the Courtauld and vote anonymously through the ballot box. There's also an alternative for you to vote online if you need to, if you're not able to attend, and that will be to send an email to suelections@courtauld.ac.uk, and this email will be picked up by the returning officer, Gareth Morgan, who will read the votes confidentially. So thank you very much, and good luck to all the candidates. So thank you.